Hi, in this video I'm going to use a function to validate some data that I'm entering in this text field. And you can see I need to validate it as being between 100 and 800 inclusive. This field is called keyboard entry, and when I click on this button, this is the code that's carried out. So on mouse up is going to put the text of this field into number entered. So I have a variable called number entered, which is going to contain what I've typed into this field. Now I'm already using a predefined function. I found one in the live code dictionary or module library. IsNumber, it's a function, and if you look down here it shows me how I can use it. And it says that if I pass over a number to isNumber, it will return true. And if I pass over something that's not a number, it will return false. And that's a key characteristic of a function, is that when it's finished carrying out its operations, it comes up with one single result or one answer, and we say that it returns that answer. So when I've finished carrying out isNumber, or live code has, what will be returned is either true or false in this place here. And if it's true, then I should get the message OK, and if it was false, then I should get try again. So let's just see if that works. I've got some text in here. I'm going to submit it for checking, and it tells me it's OK. I'll put in some text and it tells me to try again. So I'm using this predefined function, but I'm actually going to create my own function because I need to validate not only that it's a number, but I also want to validate that it's in that range. And I may have other things that I want to include in the validation. And you can see that isValid is now black text, so that's telling me it's not a reserved word in live code. So I'm going to use that as my function name. So I'm going to put function isValid, and I need to allow for the parameters that I'm passing over. Well, in this case I'm just passing over one parameter, but it could be more, and in fact I don't have to have any parameters. So I could have a whole list of parameters here, but in this case I'm just passing over one parameter, that's number entered, to the function, and I would like it to return true or false. So I'm going to create a local variable that I'm going to call, let's say, validity, and I'm going to put true into validity. And when I've finished my checking, my validation checks, I'm going to return validity as the answer, if you like, or the value of that function. So in here I'm going to do my checks, and if I find something wrong with what I've entered here, then I will put false into validity, so that it starts off true, and then if I find something wrong with it, I'll put false into validity, and I will return whatever is in validity at the end. So let's put if isNumber. Now I need to have passed across this parameter here. So in my function definition, I need a parameter to catch what's being passed over. So I'm just going to call it n, and this will allow me to find out whether n is valid. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say if n is not a number, so I'm going to say isNumber n equals false, then put false into validity. So at the moment that's a rather long-winded way of doing what I was doing up there. But I can also say if, now let's ask about the range of numbers. So I'm going to say if n, that's what's been passed in, is less than 100, and then I need the logical operator or n is greater than 800, then I also want to put false into validity. So let's just see if that works. This should say I'm putting in RRR, that's number entered. I'm passing that across to isValid, so that's gone into n. And I start off with true, and this one here should tell me it's not valid, which it does. Now let's put in a number between 100 and 800, so let's put in 500, and that should say it's okay. And let's do some extreme data, so at the either end of the range, that should be okay. Let's do the other extreme value. That's okay. I forgot to say that values in between them are normal pieces of data, so let's do another normal piece of data. That's okay. And I'm lastly going to put some things that are exceptional, so I'll put in 99, and that should say try again. And at the other end of the range, let's put in 801, and that should say that needs to try again. So the only other thing I would add there is that if I had a number of checks that I wanted to do, then this is somewhat processor time inefficient, because it's asking this question and it may go false straight away, and it's asking that question as well, which it doesn't need to do if it's already gone false. So another way of writing this would be to go, if it's false, then put false into validity, and then actually cascade these if statements. And that way it will avoid asking the questions each time. So I'm just nesting the if statements, and that way, if as soon as I find something wrong with the data and I put false into validity, then I can drop out of the if statement. So we'll just check that still works. That should be try again. 800 should be okay. 80 should be try again, and so on and so forth. I'll put try again. So that's using a function, and the key characteristic is that when I finish carrying out the operations in the function, I have to return a single value to the place where it was called. Thanks for watching.